feel like sometimes life is really mental.
Dude, that's actually a really good name for a podcast.
I'm not going to look the same forever. Like, there's no way I'm going to even be 40 and looking at myself in high school and being like, oh, why don't I still look like her? When I was at, like, in my, like, smallest body posting online, that's what everyone's like, oh my gosh, you look so good. Yeah, but I wasn't happy. Yeah, but I was struggling and nobody saw that.
Hey everyone, welcome to Really Mental, where we want you to know no matter who you are, you're not alone. Today we're speaking with the amazing Spencer Barbosa. I'm so excited for this interview and I hope you are too. And we're going to be talking a lot about body image, social media, and comparing yourself to a previous version of you. If you're new here, then make sure you subscribe and follow us on all socials at Really Mental Media, and consider rating this 5 stars so that we can reach more amazing people like you. And we're really excited to speak with Spencer today, so we're going to hop into it. Before that though, I want to mention that Harrison is not here for this episode, but he will be back next week. So don't worry at all. You're going to see his beautiful face again. And let's get into it. Spencer, welcome to Really Mental. For people who don't know you, could you please tell us a little bit about yourself?
I am a full-time content creator. I've been doing this for about 3 years now. I basically have built a platform of just being my followers' like best friend or older sister kind of vibe. I talk about everything like body image, self-love, and confidence. And then I just also show like my day-to-day struggles with my body image. It's kind of like lifestyle, but I'm like quirky and weird online.
That's awesome. And how did you get into that?
I have always wanted to do content. I was like the girl in elementary school who had a YouTube channel, and I'm like, I want to be a YouTuber. I always loved making content. It was so much fun. And there was a day during COVID where I was in grade 12 when it was like the quarantine and nobody was leaving their house, and I was feeling like really down, and I had just been told that I wasn't going to get a prom, so I was like really sad about it. And I was just like, I want to start posting this and how I'm feeling because I can't be the only one who feels like this. I started posting online just about even my body image struggles. Like, not leaving your house for a few months does stuff to your mental health. So I started posting about that, and then I was like super vulnerable, and I remember being like nervous to even start talking like that online because like I didn't have any followers. It was just felt like I was literally just talking to my camera and I didn't even know what I was doing yet. But I noticed that when I was super vulnerable online, I built this community where people really trusted me and they felt the same way as me, so I didn't feel so alone.
What was it like when you were first starting to be vulnerable? Because I feel like my relationship with vulnerability has definitely been on a journey itself. There's obviously some stigma around talking about your feelings. I think some of that is, or can seem like on the internet it's gender related, but I think overall, just generally, there's a lack of conversations with like any type of vulnerability with friends. So like, what was that like for you? Were you always open, or was it like really hard at the start to have those conversations?
I remember being so nervous because I was being vulnerable about body image, which is something that nobody really talks about. And I'd never seen a girl in my entire life post about having back hair. So posting and being so vulnerable about something that I've literally never seen anyone talk about. I remember posting and I literally threw my phone across the room like, don't look at the comments, don't look at anything. Like, just shut up and do it. Somebody's going to get what you're saying and somebody's going to relate to this. But I remember being so nervous.
I love that you had that response and also took the step, because it's one thing to obviously feel that and another thing to take the initiative to like actually vocalize that, which is also something which sometimes people never get to that stage, or it takes them a long time. What do you think is the scariest part of being vulnerable?
I just feel like getting judged because I want to be vulnerable and I want to help other people, but I'm also like putting my own actual feelings on the line. Like, I'm not just casually like, I'm insecure about back hair. Like, no, I'm actually insecure about being hairy. And the comments could end up on the wrong side of TikTok, the wrong side of Instagram, and then all of a sudden everyone's like, yeah, that's disgusting, go shave. Or people are saying like, yeah, I feel the same way. Like, it's literally normal. It grows on your body. So I think just the judgment, but you kind of have to just realize that if somebody's judging you, something's going on with them. I always say like, hurt people, because someone who's not hurt they're not saying that.
I would say one of the tough things about being vulnerable is like, if they're going to like, reject you for that. And I guess that's attached to the judgment part, but like that fear of like being outcasted because of that thing you feel like so sensitive about. I don't know, just like it makes it really hard.
I've been telling myself, I don't even know if that's answering what we're talking about right now, but I'm like, if I'm posting with the fear of being judged, then like, why am I even posting? Because I'm not even being myself anyways.
Me too. I realize I do that as well, but I just embrace that as like a part of my storytelling. And same for you. When did you realize you had an unhealthy, maybe relationship with, say, your body image?
As a girl, I've just always kind of had that because we've been kind of raised our entire life to feel like that. But I definitely at times when I'm like 7 years old and I'm literally doing sit-ups before I go to bed, like in my bed, that to me is just like not normal to be that stressed about your body image when you're literally like 7 to 11 years old. I realized I had a really big issue when I was in high school and like I literally could not look at the mirror because I hated myself so much and it was affecting my friendships because when you're insecure, you're not the nicest version of yourself. Like when you're insecure, you're just looking at other people and judging them. And I never ever want to be that kind of person. I never wanted to be that kind of person. And I just realized that when my body image was affecting like what plans I was going to make, could I go out to dinner with my friends or would I just feel too judged to be eating? Or could I go out, but then if I wear this outfit, I feel like I couldn't go to a party because then what if a guy's looking at this part of my body that's wrong? And when I was feeling like that, when my body image was like ruining my daily plans, I was like, yeah, we got to change this.
Yeah. What is like the hardest part about where we're at today as a society and when it comes to like body image?
I think social media is like destroying people's body image. And the thing is, it depends on how you see social media because the way I use social media is so positive. I follow people that are great role models that I follow people that I would want to be friends with in real life. That's how I decide if I want to like follow somebody and start because when you follow someone, they're essentially influencing your life. And this is somebody that you look up to every day. Like they're influencing your life and your decisions and the way you see the world. So I decided I'm only going to follow people that I would want to be friends with that are like very positive. And in that way, social media is like could be good for your body image. But there's also the whole like, I could not imagine being a 13-year-old girl just scrolling on my TikTok and like comparing myself to every girl that's online. And you don't know what filters they're using. You don't know the editing behind everything. Like you don't know. So I think in that way, it's not looking so good. And I'm scared for like 13-year-old girls and guys and anyone. Like I'm literally just scared for anyone in their body image, the way that online it's so easy to edit stuff. Like we just consume so much media every day. And like our attention span is so short that we're scrolling and like how many different people do you see every day on TikTok? So many people. And when you're insecure, you're constantly comparing yourself to the people you see.
What do you feel is behind people using all of this editing and like face tuning?
I don't even know if we've just made it like such a socially normal thing that people are just doing it to almost fit in. The way I see it is like when I'm 40 years old and I'm looking back on photos of me as a teenager and I'm showing them to my daughter, I don't want her to look at the photo and be like, wow, mommy, like you're so beautiful. Like, how did you look like that? Like, I want her to compare herself to a fake version of me. Do you know what I mean? Like, if all my photos are super edited and I'm showing this to my daughter and my daughter's like, wow, like, mom, you have no under eye bags. Like, where did I get that from? Like, how are my teeth yellow, but yours are perfect? Like, what do you mean? I want to be able to show my future daughter like a realistic version of what I actually look like. Because
Yeah.
I don't want to look back on photos and be like, wow, I was so beautiful when I was 20 and I literally edited every single photo that I was in. And now I don't even get to see what I looked like when I was 20.
Totally. And so how do you feel like comparison affects your mental health when you're dealing with something like, you know, body issues and like insecurities around that?
That is literally what I've been going through recently. I was just sick for like 8 months with chronic illness, and I've like my body has changed. I have gained weight. My voice has changed. Like everything. I feel like I look in the mirror and I'm like, wait, who even is that? And I'm having such an issue of comparing myself to what I looked like 8 months ago when I'm like, yeah, but you weren't healthy. Like, yeah, but like you had to my body changed because I had to change in order to be healthy again, in order to get up in the morning and have energy to do the things I want to do, in order to not be laying in bed all day sick. And I'm just having this comparison of my past self. And it's so hard for girls. Like we literally go through puberty part 2. So randomly, I'm like 20 years old and I think I'm done with puberty. And then I start gaining weight and I turn from like a girl body to a woman body. And I'm like, how do I stop comparing what I look like now to what I look like when I was 15 in high school. And it's such a struggle that I haven't even figured out myself yet, because it's like I'm in a woman body, but I can't compare myself to when I was literally 15 years old in high school. Like, I'm not gonna look like I was in high school forever. It's one thing to compare yourself to other people online, and then to compare yourself to yourself is really hard.
Yeah, I mean, like, I think it's such a dangerous thing to obviously compare yourself to a previous version of who you are generally, like even emotionally.
Mhm.
So, like, how do you think? I know you're still going through the process of working through it as
Mhm.
well, but like, talk us through how do you think you can, I guess, one, avoid doing that, and then two, working on like accepting where you are right now and being happy with that.
The one thing I've told myself is we have to change. Like, I'm not gonna look the same forever. Like, there's no way I'm gonna even be 40 and looking at myself in high school and being like, "Oh, why don't I still look like her?" Well, you don't look like her because you grew up, because you changed. And like you said, you can look at a snapshot of a photo, but you don't see the rest of it. Do you know what I mean? Like, even when I was at, like, in my, like, smallest body, posting online, like, weighing the least amount, that's when everyone's like, "Oh my gosh, you look so good." But when I look at those photos, I'm like, "Yeah, but I wasn't happy. Yeah, but I was struggling and nobody saw that." So you have to look at the bigger picture and just be grateful for where you are now. My friend told me this quote, and she said that, like, aging is a privilege. So every day that we wake up, this is a privilege. Like, we're so lucky to grow and change. Self-love isn't loving yourself when you look your best. Self-love is loving yourself through every single stage.
That's powerful. I also feel like as well, your biggest blessings come from your biggest challenges. And that's the same as what you're saying, which is like through those periods of like, I guess, struggle or maybe not knowing your worth and your value, you end up finding that through that.
Mhm.
When you think of the place you're at now and feeling those things, what are some of the things that you did to, I guess, like manifest those types of things happening in your life? Like, obviously, I mean, you just overcame an illness, which is a huge thing. But do you feel like there's been some changes you've made as well around that that have brought you to a place where you can be in like a healthy relationship?
I feel like the number one thing I did, and I made a TikTok about this morning, was I stopped saying things like, "I'm so stupid," or "I'm so ugly," or "I'm
Mm,
so bad at this," or "I hate myself." Like, when you say those things, you don't realize it, but your brain literally, like, holds on to those things. If I tell myself every single day that I hate myself, I'm always gonna hate myself. Like,
yeah.
it just I'm literally teaching that to myself every day. So, I just took out saying those negative things about myself, where if I have only negative things about myself, I'm just saying nothing. And if I'm gonna stand in front of the mirror and pick myself apart for an hour, then I don't even get to stand in front of the mirror. Like, I basically just told myself that if I'm standing in front of the mirror, it's to say good things about myself or to check out my outfit quickly. It's not to stand there and pick myself apart and compare myself to other people. Like, I just think the number one thing I did was taking out all those negative things I said about myself, because I would be the worst bully to myself. Like, the things I say about myself, I would never in a million years ever say about someone else. So I just needed to start being kinder to myself.
When you compare that to say like your lowest point in time, what would you
Mhm.
say that point is?
I would say probably the lowest point would have been when I had recently moved out. So I grew up in a big family, and I moved out at 18, and I've lived alone for like 3 years now. So when I just first moved out, it was like that feeling of, one, holy shit, like I just grew up. Like, I'm old, I moved out. Like, that was crazy to me. And just also like adjusting to that. But I felt so alone because I had just moved out, and then I would go online and read like 1,000 horrible things about myself. And when you first start doing social media, you want to read every comment, because there could be good comments, but for every like 100 good comments, there's a bad one. And it's like that one bad one will literally erase the 100 good ones in your head, and you only see the bad ones. It's horrible and it's evil to do it to myself. So I feel like in the lowest points of my life, I was reading all of my comments and I was letting that bother me. I would go on Reddit because I wanted to see what people were saying about me, when that's horrible. Like, you're literally looking for bad. So I just started like reading good comments, and bad ones, honestly, block right away. I used to be scared of blocking people because I didn't want to have that like rap online, like, "Oh, she just blocks everybody." But like, if you have nothing good to say about me, why would I not block you?
How did you get through that period of feeling isolated and alone?
I feel like seeing your friends. I'm very introvert, so sometimes it takes a lot of energy to go see my friends, but I know that when I see my friends, it's so good for my mental health and it's so good. It's just like the getting out there can be like almost intimidating because I love being at home. Like being a homebody, it's so comfortable here. I don't like it's good. There's never been a time that seeing my friends is like been, "Oh, shoot, I shouldn't have left my house." It's never like that, and I know it's always good for my mental health to go see my friends, but it's just the, like, initial pushing myself as an introvert to, like, actually leave my house.
I feel like I'm the opposite. I feel like I obviously like unconsciously because I also love my friends, but I'll like distract myself with like setting up so many like plans where I'm like, I don't
Mhm,
have time myself to breathe.
mhm.
And I used to spend a lot more time by myself. So I'm trying to develop that relationship more, especially being, away from my family there in Australia. What's your advice, I guess, for myself and anyone that is trying to build like a better relationship with themselves where they can be their own like best friend?
I started doing this, and it helped me so much with becoming my own best friend, is take yourself on a date. Like, I would go to literally ramen and sit there by myself and just either journal, like manifest what my goals are for this month, or read a book, or even if you're just listening to music, I feel like romanticize it. Like you're this mysterious person on a date with yourself at ramen. Like what's she thinking about? What's she doing? Like what's going on? So I just started taking myself on dates because you don't have to sit around and wait to go with somebody else. You can go by yourself. Yeah, I feel like honestly have so much fun by myself. I'm like, it's just fun to think that if I'm best friends with myself, I'm literally like, this is amazing. I get to be best friends with myself for the rest of my life. Like that's so much fun. And just having that relationship with myself where I could be alone, but it doesn't feel lonely, was something that I worked on for a long time. But it was honestly like making plans with myself. I don't know if that sounds a little weird, like, but like going and doing fun things. Go on like a shopping date, and if you feel awkward, just put headphones on. No one's gonna bump it, like, no one's gonna say anything to you. No one's judging you because you're going to the mall alone. I used to be so scared of doing things like that alone because I feel like people are, like, looking at me being like, "Oh, does she not have friends?" No one cares. I've never once been at a mall and been like, "Oh my gosh, she's shopping alone." Like, what? Nobody does that. No one cares. Just go do things alone. It's fun. It's not lonely.
Exactly. What do you think are some things that you have done to be kinder to yourself?
Learning how to accept a compliment, I feel like has helped me just be kinder to myself because I would always be the person that someone would be like, "Oh, you're so pretty." And then I'd be like, "No, that's you. Like, don't say that. Shut up. No, I'm not." But I think actually learning to just be like, "Thank you. I appreciate that. You're also beautiful," is a way to be kind to yourself and just accepting that. I also I've recently talked about this online where I felt like I used to work out as like a punishment and I would go and work out because I hated myself because I'm like, "Oh my god, I need to change my body. This is horrible. I can't even look at myself." When now it's like I'm being kinder to myself just in the way like I'm changing my mindset. Instead of viewing working out as a punishment, I'm viewing it as I'm so lucky that I have the body that I get to move my body every day. I'm so, so lucky that I can move my body instead of, yeah, this is a punishment. You're gross. Like, you know what I mean? Just like that mindset change.
Do you feel like that comes from awareness, or are you like saying those things to yourself every day and reminding yourself?
I'm trying to be, like, hyper aware of when I'm saying something bad about myself so that I can correct it instantly. Because like, no one's perfect. Obviously, there's gonna be days that I'm gonna look at myself and be like, "I hate myself," or, "I don't know why I made that mistake," where if I say that, like, obviously, I'm gonna make mistakes and I'm gonna say, "I made that mistake. Shit, I'm so stupid." But I can change it around and be like, "I made that mistake, but now I'm learning from that, and I'm so grateful that I learned that lesson," or I'm so grateful that I was able to move my body instead of just, wow, I should have worked out harder. Like I needed a harder workout. That was horrible. Like you just have to be hyper aware of that and change that. And it almost becomes a habit. Like when you say so many nice things about yourself, I really notice when I say something bad about myself now. You know what I mean? And then I can easily correct that.
When you were in the place where you were maybe speaking harsher to yourself and you weren't picking up on it, do you feel like that was reflected in the people you surrounded yourself with, the relationships you were in?
For sure. I feel like when I was really insecure, even the friends I would talk to or the guys I would talk to would be, like, mean to me because I was also mean to me, and the way that you talk and treat yourself shows everyone around you how they can talk to you, shows them how they can treat you. When I was at a point in my life where I was not doing nice things for myself, I was talking to myself so horribly, I was really insecure, I would let guys in my life like be mean to me as well because I just thought like that's what I deserved. But if you build such like a high standard for your friendships, for the way you let your parents talk to you, the way you let relationships, anything, if you're like being so nice to yourself, then someone can't come in and be rude to you because you're like, I would never even be rude to myself. So how are you going to be rude to me?
The most uncomfortable thing is like when you're obviously growing up and going through and figuring out, you know, how you view yourself, how you want others to treat you. And I think when you don't know how you want people to treat you and you're figuring that out, I feel like that can be like a tough change to make where you're like, okay, I want to be in a place where like I'm attracting those kinds of people that lift me up and make me feel good about
Mhm.
myself and about what I'm doing. It can be hard to like shift that. So how do you empower yourself to like every day just like make that change towards a better future with better relationships?
It's so hard, like, because you could be friends with somebody and it could be a toxic friendship, but like leaving that toxic friendship is so hard because you also don't want to be mean to them and you don't want to ruin their day because you're trying to be on this journey to be a happier, confident, better person. But then if you're ending this friendship with someone, you don't want to ruin their day as well. But I think what I did was I really was aware of who was reaching out to me, who also wanted to hang out with me, or was I just constantly chasing other people? And then if I had a friend say something negative to me, I would talk to them. The thing is, we're all people. Like, we all just want to be talked to at the end of the day. And if you just explain to someone, like, the way that you're treating me doesn't make me feel good. And if you explain that to them and they disagree and they think that it's fine to keep treating you like that, or they just continue to walk all over you, then you have to really evaluate, like, does this person even really value me? Because I always think someone who really loves you and really cares about you wouldn't want to lose you and they wouldn't put themselves in that position to lose you. So I think like your friend could also be going through something and you have to be aware of that and talk to them. Like maybe they're being rude to you because something's happening at home and you don't know that what's going on. So I think just being as scary and as vulnerable as it is, just talk to people, talk about what's going on in your life, what's bothering you. And if you telling someone that the way that they're talking to you ends an entire relationship, then do they really value you? Like it shouldn't. Like you shouldn't be scared to tell someone how they're making you feel. Like that's not scary when it's somebody in your life who cares about you. I think that learning that a relationship is not serving you and it's not good for you anymore doesn't mean that it erases all the amazing memories you had before. It doesn't mean that you have to be like, oh, well, I don't want to be friends with you. Like, you're horrible. Never talk to me again. Like, you're the worst person. It's not like that. It can literally be you just, like, you're still friends, but you're just from a distance. And you can really, really love someone and really cherish your memories with someone, but doesn't mean that you have to hang out with them every day. It doesn't mean that they have to be the biggest influence on your life.
Are there any times in your life where you feel like you haven't necessarily been like the best, maybe like version of yourself in terms of a like relational standpoint, like friends, etc.?
When I was like insecure about myself, like I would not be the greatest person. Like I said earlier, like if you're insecure, then you're looking at things that are wrong with other people and you're like, oh, well, I think I'm hairy. So then all of a sudden you're looking at your friend's arms like to see if they're hairy too. You know what I mean? And it makes you almost judge the people around you. So I think that when I noticed myself that that was going on, I just, like I said, talk to your friends. Like, doesn't have to mean you're like, oh yeah, I was staring at your arms because of this. No, you just say like, this is what I'm going through right now. I want to be a good friend to you. Is there anything that you think I could do to be a better friend?
It's so annoying when we're like our own biggest critic. And I think that's something I'm proud of like working on this year is like actually
Mhm.
like continuing the journey of just being like a better friend. To what you were
Mhm.
saying earlier in our chat, like some of the things that we say to ourselves, we would never ever say to like another person.
You can't fill up other people's cup if your cup is empty. So it's focusing on yourself because I feel like the number one way to become a better friend is being a better friend to yourself. Because that just reflects in if you're happy, you're going to be happy to the people around you. If you're confident, you're going to uplift the people around you. Like I said earlier, hurt people hurt people. And I didn't want to be a hurt person that was hurting the people around me. And it is hard to love yourself and it is a journey and you will love yourself some days and then wake up the next day and not love yourself.
Yeah. Totally. There was something you said there, which I found like super interesting. And I think it's like the idea of like waking up and making like the choice to like be better and like continue that journey.
Mhm.
Yeah, I feel like it's sometimes hard to, I guess, know where to go or like how to have a relationship, a better relationship with yourself. For instance,
Mhm.
this year for me, I feel like I didn't even know what that was. Like, how do I be a
Mhm.
better friend? What does being a good person look like for you?
Ooh, I think being a good person is being kind, realizing that we're all going through something at the same time, and you don't know what that stranger's going through. So you just even holding the door for somebody might make them like, "Oh, thank you. Like, I really appreciate that." Like, being a good person, for me at least, when I do nice things for other people, I'm not doing it to get it back. I'm doing nice things for other people because it makes me feel good. I think that's being a good person is being kind to the people around you and listening to them. Sometimes it's hard to listen to other people because you feel like, "Oh, I have so much of my own shit going on. I just wanna, like, talk about what's going on with me." But being a good person sometimes is just listening to the other people around you.
It's powerful. It's powerful. I wanted to ask something that like we had, I know we jumped away from, but I wanted to mention it before we wrap it up is like, how did you heal your relationship with food?
I feel like it's just quotes that changed my life. I'm like, "This is the quote that changed my life." But I read that, like, you can't live a full life on an empty stomach, and that to me, like, just changed everything, and like I said, even instead of viewing working out as, like, a punishment, it's like, I'm so lucky that I get to work out. Like, I'm so lucky that I get to feel my body and have this energy, because I can't change the world if I'm starving, like, you can't. A car doesn't drive on empty. Like, I just had to get that through my own head, and there are still foods that, like I don't know, I think everyone who's ever struggled with, like, food has certain, like, I guess, like, fear foods, you would call it, or things that, like, you just don't touch, don't eat, don't do, and there are still certain things like that for me, and that's just I've learned that about myself, and I just avoid those things, but I do realize that, "Girl, I got some big goals, and you can't achieve these big goals when you don't have the energy, when you're not fueling yourself." And it's not a negative thing, like, you're so lucky that you get to have this body. Aging is a privilege. I just had to really change that around, and it's not scary, and you should talk to someone about it if you feel like that. Like, really just being open and, like, talking to a friend about it, talking to your parents, talking to somebody because you're not the only person going through this,
Yeah. When you mentioned gym
and
as well, that's like something where I'm like, I can relate to that. And I'm actually thinking of like, I feel like I really need to go. And I also, because I haven't been a week because I was unwell. And like also I have like I think like there is a thought to that of like, I want to like make sure that I look a certain way. That's not necessarily like, that's not the best motivator.
move your body because you love it, not because you hate it, is or not because you wanna change it, is what to me is like, that's everything.
Facts. I love that. Well, there's some awesome thoughts, and I really enjoyed that chat. I know we touched on a few things when it comes to loneliness, being a better
Mhm.
version of yourself, and also having a healthy body image and relationship with food. Last question, which is something that I've been speaking about a lot recently in life and just thinking on as well. So I'm making this up on the spot. It's we haven't planned this one, but is there someone in your life that you want to forgive? And if so, what would you say to them?
That any relationship in my life that I want to forgive, I've already forgiven. I don't know. I know a lot of people, like, hold grudges or they wish that they could still be friends with this person that they used to be friends with, but for me, I live such the mentality of, like, "Okay, we're on a floating rock, like, how am I even alive right now? What is life?" That I will forgive people every corner, like, I will literally not hold the grudge. If somebody says sorry, I'm like, "Okay, thank you so much for saying sorry. Let's move on. Like, life is way too short to hold this grudge and feel like, oh shit, I should have said this to that person or I should forgive them so we could be friends. I don't know. I don't have that, I don't think. But that is a really good question. But I'm like, I don't have that. Do you have that? I always found that if I wanted to forgive someone, but I knew like or like have that conversation with someone, but I didn't know if that would be painful to them or if I even really wanted to, I would just like write it down and then I'd literally set the paper on fire. Like I don't know if you ever done I don't know if it sounds crazy, but yeah, do it. Do it. Like even ex best friends, like if they did you dirty, I'll like write down all my feelings and never give them a letter, burn it, throw it out, but just putting that and just getting that off your chest is, like, the greatest feeling ever.
Yeah, I love that. I love
So I'm like,
that.
"Try it."
I'm gonna try it. I'll let you know how it is. I'll let you know. Sounds good. Well, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate you coming on and sharing your story. And I love the intention behind everything you do with your platform. So good to just hear more about like your perspective on things. So yeah, thank you, Spencer. I appreciate you.
Thank you so much. It was awesome chatting with you.
So that was such an awesome episode, and I'm so grateful that we were able to have Spencer on the show. Been trying to speak to her for a minute. So it was super fun to chat, and we touched on some pretty, I would say, important and also heavy subjects. My highlights and learnings from all of it is a reminder that everyone has their own journey when it comes to body image, and you never really know what someone else is going through. You look at someone like Spencer, who is this amazing person and has had so much success, and it would be easy to assume that she is really confident in herself and wouldn't have that many issues or problems to deal with. Like everyone, we all have our own things and insecurities that we're going through. So it was my reminder that no matter where you're at, just be kind to yourself. And when you do that, you'll be kind to others. Because as Spencer said, hurt people hurt people. So thank you for joining us today. I really hope you enjoyed this conversation. Hopefully it made you feel less alone as well. And if you're new here, please consider rating this 5 stars and following us on our socials at Really Mental Media. We have so much other mental health content resources outside of just this podcast. So definitely go and check that out. And I'm really excited to introduce our guest that is going to be on next week. And we'll catch you on Sunday to see who that is. So make sure you stick around. And yeah, we'll talk soon. Have an amazing week. I love you.